Good morning, or perhaps I should say top of the morning to you, because as some of you know, Steve and I literally just got back from about almost 2 weeks in Ireland, just meaning last night. Can you tell? Can you tell? And it was a wonderful trip, but I'm not going to talk too much about that today because I have some other things to tell you about because it's Memorial Day and or the day before Memorial Day, and we have tradition that we do in this community, or that I've done since I've been here, and it's a ceremony that we'll be leading up to in the talk, and that's why you all have flowers. Does everybody have flowers? John, you missed your flower. You can go pop back and get anybody else not get some flowers this morning? Yeah, John, why don't you bring the flowers in? We'll have them at the back, and we won't need them till they are right there. So, yeah, just let folks pick out what they want. So, this Memorial Day is actually the perfect end to our month's theme. We've been doing this month the being awake to remembering. All year, for those of you who are newer to us, all year our theme has been being awake, and each month we've been learning and reminding ourselves to be awake to some aspect of life. And this month it's being awake to remembering. And in fact, this Sunday's talk is remembering to awaken, and it's not just remembering to wake up, it's using remembering to awaken ourselves more fully to this spiritual magnificence that we truly are. So this is the perfect end, this day when so many of us are in remembering. I've personally experienced this day so much as remembering all who have passed that I forgot until last year or the year before somebody reminded me that for many people this is a day to honor and remember our fallen military heroes. And so we do that, but we also expand it for all of us to remember and honor everyone or anyone in our lives who has passed. And so as we've been talking about this month, we look at remembering not just as something we do with our head, and not even just as something we do with our heart, but that we use remembering from a deep soul place. That those things that touch us, that we remember, it's because there's a place in us, that place that is infinite, timeless, birthless, deathless. That infinite in us resonates with someone or something or an idea, and that is the kind of remembering that I've been wanting us to focus on. And that when we remember those things that touch our soul, that our soul responds to, that our soul realizes is part of its purpose in being on this thing called earth life, and that we remember and in our bodies, we embody those things we remember and then make them real on the planet. So again, much more than just a head memory. So this awakening and this remembering does require, as I said, being awake, because we have to be awake to that deeper call within us, that deeper call of who we've all come here to be. Now, some of you have heard me use this languaging before. Some of you immediately resonate to that languaging, who you've come here to be. And for some of you, this may be a new idea, but we've all come here to be something, not necessarily a teacher or a politician or a mother or a father, but to be. We've all come here to be an expression of the divine, and each of us has come here to be some specific expression of that divine. And we need to be awake to keep remembering and opening to what that idea is for each of us. So that as we remember, especially today, as we remember the people who have gone on before, that we don't just go, oh yeah, I miss them, they were so great, but that we do something deeper with it. That we remember with our being why these people touch us so. Whether it was family members, dear friends, public figures that just touch something deep in us. That we remember to be awake to what has really been touched, to look and see what has really been touched and called in us. And so we can be that instead of have, as I say, a V8 moment where we enter into some of the situations in our life and only remember belatedly, oh wait, this was an opportunity for me to be my truer self. This was an opportunity for me to be the qualities that have so touched me in another person. Does this make sense? So, personally, I don't want you all slamming your heads going, I could have had a V8. I could have remembered to be the grace of my mother. I could have remembered to be the great humor and taking things lightly. That was my cousin Joe. To be those things. Those of you who have been to other Memorial Day services know that's what we do, is we take the qualities of those people that we love, or again, those public figures who have touched us, and see if we love those qualities. If we were touched, that's because that's ours to be. That's ours to express. That is that part of who each of us came here to be. And then when we aren't awake to that, when we don't remember that way with our soul, then we just get lost in our grief of our loved ones passing, or we can get lost in some memory of anger, of fighting. And those are not the things that our souls are calling us to be. So I'll give you an example. That's from Ireland. Anybody here been to Ireland? Especially in the last, so you're young enough that you've been there fairly recently, I would imagine. Well, someone my age, recent means the last 20 years. And what wasn't really apparent in my forefront of my thinking till we got there, because we did go to Northern Ireland. And one of the things that our guides there would point out is, 20 years ago, tourists did not come to Northern Ireland. And of course I knew that, but I didn't really know it until I got there. And they said, this is so cool having tourists here. And Ireland is a place where there's a lot of memory. There's a lot of memorial. And besides the fact that there's very ancient things, there's more current memory. We went on O'Connell Street, and O'Connell is the last name of one of the early freedom fighters, Daniel O'Connell. And there's this street with statues, and as you drive by them in some of the buildings, the guide says, look, there's the bullet holes. You can see the bullet holes in the statue. You can see the bullet holes in the building. Then when we go to Northern Ireland and you go to Belfast, part of what one is toured through is this zone, an area of demarcation in the city of where the Catholics live and the Protestants lived. And there's still wire and fencing, and there are murals that have been created in each part of the city that are memorials to people who died. Some of them are very frightening murals against the government, really scary, like people in black masks and stuff that would scare kids. So there's a lot of remember this. And even though there is peace now, a peace agreement. There is still very much, especially between the Catholics and the Protestants, who are, no surprise here, not finding work, who are suffering economically. Those are the ones who tend to carry forward because, of course, they're saying it's their fault. It's their fault. You know, the Catholics say, if only we were with the Republic of Ireland, life would be good. And the ones who are loyal to and are happy to be part of the UK are saying, well, if only those Catholics or those who want to be with the Republic of Ireland would go away, our lives would be good. So there's a lot of memory there. There's a lot of memory in Derry, which is called Londonderry if you happen to be somebody who's a loyalist and really loves being part of the UK, and called Derry if you are much more for a fully independent Ireland. There are also murals there. There are signs that say, welcome to independent, free Ireland or free Derry. So there is a lot of remember what happened. Remember the violence. Remember there's oppression. There's a lot of that memory there to live that unfortunately keeps grief, anger, bitterness alive. But we had this guide in Derry, and we were talking, some of us toward the end, you know, who touched you most, or what touched you most, or what was your favorite part of the trip. And several of us said it was this one particular guide. His name is Ronan, and he was in the city of Derry. And what he chooses to focus on, and he showed us some of the murals and talks about that he thinks the seeds for the violence go way back to the 1600s, when the British ruler wanted to make sure they had a lot of people living on that island of Ireland that were loyal to the king. So they imported, or they say planted, a bunch of Scots Presbyterians. So in the 1600s, that's when it really started. Anyway, could get distracted in that. So he is telling us a good bit of history and understanding it. But what he is all about is his joy in the fact that there are tourists coming, which means something different can happen in this part of Northern Ireland. Something different can happen on this site of so much violence and bloodshed. And he is a stand for peace. He is a stand for peace and prosperity in Ireland. And he said over and over again that he knew that his children and their generation would create a lasting peace. And it wasn't just a hope. You know, you can be with somebody, you know, it wasn't a hope. He embodied that sense of possibility and that sense of joy. It just beamed out of him. And so clearly, his soul is not calling him to remember over and over again the violence that has happened. His soul is calling him to the possibility of greater peace. And as he embodies it and stands for it and in it and is it in a way that all of us were so touched that something new gets made on the planet. A new possibility becomes more and more and more available. A new understanding becomes more available for people to step into. And that is the kind of remembering that I am talking about. That we open to what touches us at a deep level, because there's something in him, obviously, that is a peacemaker, not just a guide, although being a guide is pretty cool in a way. He loves it, obviously, but there is something much deeper that he is up to. And that through being that guide, he opens up everyone who comes to that city to the greater possibilities available to all of us to have a world that works for everyone, a world of peace. So as I talk about remembering, especially on this day of remembering those who have gone on before us, to feel with our remembering what we are really called to remember and make real. There's a little test you can use as you think of people that you're remembering and what your soul is calling to remember. That if the qualities or ideas that you remember, if they constrict you, if in remembering them you feel tighter and smaller and more closed, that's not your soul's remembering. Because what our soul is to remember is always truth. And what does the truth do? What do we know? What did the master teacher Jesus tell us? The truth sets us free. So what we are truly called to remember, as we remember it, we feel more expanded. We feel more open. We certainly feel more free. It's just your little test feeling. So as we look today, as each of us looks today, both historically and personally, as you start getting in touch with whose passing are you most in touch with this year, this moment? And it doesn't have to be just one person, but whether it's family members, friends, public figures, whether their death was this year or years ago. But as you start seeing whose passing is most touching you now, when we do this thing called Memorial Day and remembering, begin to get in touch with what about them so touches you. What is resonating with your soul? What is your soul wanting you to remember so that you embody and make more real in the world? It could be somebody's sense of joy and humor. It could be somebody's curiosity. Always, no matter how old he or she was, their endless curiosity that kept them young. It could be their generosity. It could be the way that they created beauty everywhere they went. Some homes I walk into, my sister-in-law is like this, I walk into her home, and everywhere there are these little touches of beauty that always open my soul. So these don't have to be big things that change the world, and yet they touch our soul. And in the touching of our soul, it means see that, be that. So begin to think about what that is with who that is for you. And in just a moment, I'll have us do the first part of our ceremony. And that will be for you as you come into your thought of who you are remembering, then bring your flowers forward and plant them in whichever vase you wish. And be with that for a moment. And then as you return to your chair, just stay with your heart open in the presence of that person or those persons. And then when everybody has sat back down, then I'll take you through another step of the process. So Carrie is going to do a little song for us, and I'll invite you at your own pace to bring up your flowers. And as I said, bring them up, put them in a vase, and allow yourself to be for just a moment with that person, and then take that, or persons, and then take that memory back to your chair. And I'm going to come get some flowers myself, and Jack, I'm going to invite you to do that too.
We will honor them, our family, our friends, mothers, fathers, sons and daughters. We will honor them. We will remember them. We will honor them, our family, our friends, father, mother, sister, brother. We will honor them. We will remember them.
So if you feel comfortable, if you aren't closing your eyes now, you might feel comfortable to close your eyes. So you can be even more present to what your soul is calling you to remember about those people. What is it for you that was so memorable about them? Was it their love and kindness? Was it their courage? Was it their sense of joy? And as you come in contact, as your soul whispers to you what it is that is so compelling about each of those people, allow yourself now to claim it as you, as residing in you, knowing that it does not take anything away from them for you to claim it as residing in you. In fact, that is how they are honored and remembered. And so in the claiming of it, feel all the cells of your body wake up to take on and be and internalize those ideas, those qualities that so resonate for you, for your soul. See yourself as the embodier, the liver, the one who makes real those aspects of your loved ones. And allow yourself to remember, to be awake to these qualities wherever you find yourself. So that in the remembering, you bring more love, more joy, more generosity, more courage, more creativity, more wisdom to this planet. It is how we use our remembering to awaken more fully to who we truly are. So to anchor this, I speak this word of knowing that through all the people we have known and loved and remembered, the truth is that there is only one life, one mind, one presence, and that is God, the infinite Spirit. And yet that Spirit has a need of each of us. That Spirit had a need of each of those who have gone before us to express itself in the world by means of us. And so knowing that we are here to be the life of God, made flesh, made real, and that those who go before have been our way showers, I know for each of us that these qualities or aspects we now claim easily move into our being. And we easily move into the world more courageous, more loving, more peaceful, more generous, more curious. Whatever it is, that as we open to it and claim it, there is that divine that moves it more fully, anchors it more fully into us. And so we ourselves, through remembering, create the world we want to see. That is how Spirit works. That is how we truly honor those who have gone before. That is how we create heaven on earth. I'm so very grateful, and so it is.